Good evening.
We're back.
Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight. I have with me
Boomer Rex
himself and his son
Oh,
Asshole.
Hi.
And I am RisenLadyHeathen. And tonight we have another exciting show lined up for you. I've got another story from the Killer Legends, and we've got some news and politics to catch you all up on for the day.
Of course.
But I feel bad because yesterday when we did our show, Asshole wanted to talk about Leatherface, and we didn't actually get around to it. We got distracted. So go for it.
It is not that big it was more a digression from whatever we've been talking about in the history of horror things. And everybody should see the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially now because you won't find it particularly scary. Because it's 70s horror, so there's so much stuff that they wouldn't do that we would just blow through.
Not nearly enough blood and gore.
Yeah. Well, and they weren't TNA for, right?
I know, yeah.
They were trying to tell something like a real story, and but the main character in that is the inspiration, the actual serial killer behind it is the standard sad idiot in Texas who was more a ghoul. And he killed 2 women, but a lot of what it was the body snatching.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out society's super down on that. Don't snatch bodies, the internet.
Yeah.
But he's also the inspiration for the guy in Psycho.
Okay.
So, it was just interesting that we had taken this one killer and split it off into 2 pieces that then went on to be the basis for all horror movies going forward.
Just got it ramped up and
Oh, because it's Jason, it's Michael Myers, the big hulking, faceless, disinterested, killed by a thing that just doesn't care. Like as close to human combine as you can get.
Okay.
And the other where it's some sort of semi-functional lunatic, that could actually figure out how to poison you, or at least get you when you're in the shower or something.
No, why was he
Hide the bodies. He maybe wore some faces. A little. He made loads of trophies. It was a lot of it's the which one? Strangers. One of the ones that it also started the based on a true story.
Yeah.
Kind of, if you squint and don't know the story real good, and the person's talking real fast. What?
Again, I loved that voice too. Do it.
But, no, I can't. You're looking at me weird.
Okay, I'll stop looking.
What the based on a true story?
Oh, that's beautiful. No, I love that. Do that all night.
I was going to say, I can think of several places where I'll just point. Oh, my God.
But no, part of this is one of the only things I was ever denied as a child, a thing that I was told, you can't watch this, was the Friday the 13th series, which means I am a freakish level of expert about the Friday the 13th series. And I don't even really like horror movies, but it is useful because I did talk to movie kids, and at least this we could discuss you got to get people isolated, the fundamental chunks of the narrative for a horror movie. Because if I can just get on my cell phone and be like, we're getting killed by, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
I don't like horror movies. I've never liked horror movies, and it's honestly because the first horror movie I ever saw, was about this vacuum, that some scientist had invented, and it, when you turn it on, it basically come to life,
Did it do floors?
Well, the point was it would clean, right? So it would know when there was, it would hear a sound like a food drop or something, and it would go over. Okay. So, and its mouth was there was mouthy bits. So it was there was no tentacles or anything. It was literally just like a weird mouthy thing. Anyway, so it killed people by attaching to their face and just sucking the life out of them, literally.
Obviously, it was climbed in your face and was looking around still.
And the way, because it was a babysitter, babysitting a kid and everything, and the way they ended up killing it, was by stabbing it with something and then banging it so it would make noise, and then it was oh, I gotta stop the noise, and it sucked itself to death.
Oh, okay.
But that movie, I was so young when I saw it that I could never watch horror.
I'm sympathetic to that.
Oh,
because I saw a horror movie when I was small, the Creep Show with the blob that gets the people. That fucked my shit up. I couldn't swim at the time, which is at least a lot of it, because it's gonna get me. Or the horror movie with the chimpanzees. The young lady gets hired to watch the creepy ass castle thing. She gets told to treat the chimpanzees the same. One of them's very nice and friendly and Coco-esque, and the other one's an asshole.
Oh god.
So she's not nice to the asshole one, and then chimpanzees totally kill you, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, and chase you around creepy giant mansion house, like for funsies.
That'd be good.
That sounds terrible.
Just the architecture allows them to do what they want.
All right, so we're going to get back to this sort of discussion in a little bit.
We're going to get back to the point.
But let's start with something that is particularly terrifying to me. I heard you were telling me that a Texas politician wants to ban books. I'm sorry, book bannings.
He's got a list of 850.
850 books?
Yeah.
I'd say that's not who we are, but that's exactly who we are.
That's exactly who they
Like,
are.
we burned
Texas.
Beatles albums because they were bloody.
Yeah, they did.
Elvis Presley's hips were obscene.
It's just insane.
And yet, everything about American society at the same time, right? One half vilifies the obscenity, and the other half bathes in it like that chick that gives us the vampire myth.
Yeah.
Now, do you have the names of some of these books that this guy is trying? Or
No, so there's several classics.
Notice? Okay.
And I went through the list of 850 titles, right?
Right.
And so there are a number of titles in there that I could understand a parent being vaguely nervous if you handed a child that book. But, this is 13, 14, 15, coming of age, your body, et cetera, things that probably ought to be available to them. And they're not going to get them from their Texas parent, so you'd kind of hope they're in the library.
I'm the wrong one to ask. I come down on the psychotically hippie side of this, that basically I want the school to go hard, don't ask, don't tell on a lot of stuff. Like we were talking earlier about smoking in schools, and that's not the school's concern. Right, the school's not there to be your parent. The school's there to
smoke
make
in school, children.
It's not really recommending smoking. Unless
Like
you do
all of
once.
us did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And still
I
do.
didn't. Not at high school.
Oh yeah, I used to
Boy,
smoke
you were
non-filters during
deprived.
finals.
Well, I had the cigarettes in my car, so kids would come out with me in my car. But
Yeah, we just went out behind the gym, so. Anyway.
I finally had a assistant principal tell me, like the 7th or 8th time I was brought in for smoking when he knew I wasn't, that if I wanted a cigarette, I should just come to him and I'd go across the street and I could just have a cigarette.
Okay.
And I wasn't smoking at that point, so it was a really cool offer that I didn't ever use, and still when I
that's
started,
really
I didn't
sad.
use. I know, but it was weird. He and I hated each other in junior high, and then we both went to the high school at the same year.
Oh, yeah?
And so we kind of we didn't like each other, but we knew each other, and
Yeah.
we had been to the same school the year before. So
anyway, most of these books, there's some The History of Black Lives Matter. But you can totally understand why some Texas asshole doesn't want it on a shelf. Again.
if school's purpose is to educate, that's why it needs to be on the shelf.
Absolutely.
If you want to make, I don't mind if you want to make whatever, you need a note from a teacher saying you're allowed in the good book section or something.
Yeah.
I'd prefer it wasn't, because again, I think school should hand out
No,
comics.
I think we'll do it the other way around.
Or at least have
If your parents don't think you should be in the good book section,
they have
right,
to sign you out.
we'll put a bracelet on your
Uh-huh.
hand, a
But they have
bright
to come in
red
and,
one.
yeah, they got to sign a thing saying my child is
Damn
too
Skippy.
dumb to handle interesting books.
Yep. So,
I want my child to be so dumb they can't handle interesting books, right? I'm not knocking the kid. The kid's got no choice.
so when I was 12, my mother took me to the main branch of the public library in our town. And they gave me a children's card or, whatever. And then told me where my section was. And so my mother walked with me down to where they had the books that they thought were suitable for me. And I looked through them and she looked through them and she marched me back to the desk. And she said, "Give my son an adult library card." And she said, "I'm sorry, I can't do that. He's only 12. And so my mother took another registration form, filled out my name, changed my birth date, and handed it to the librarian, and she gave me an adult book card.
Nice.
So I could go through the whole library.
Well played, Mom.
And it is true, I spent some time in the National Geographic section.
For sure.
Oh, of course.
So-
That was the best section.
Yeah,
Humans come
absolutely.
where the nudity is.
It is. And that was
Monkeys will pay you food for photos of high status monkey butt.
yeah, they will.
And I want to know, I want an AI put on that to figure out what a
makes
hot
them
monkey
high
is.
status? Yeah.
How do you
That'd
know
be
that?
good.
From just genitals?
But as long as we're talking about libraries,
Yeah.
we are the only animal that builds libraries. What does it say about us that we have this notion that we could collect all the knowledge there is and put it in one place? Libraries are sacred.
Yeah.
Don't get between me and the door of a library.
Agreed. Agreed. No, and libraries should carry everything, like, equally.
What would you do if somebody gave your local library a subscription to the Washington Gay Blade? I tell them to say thank you and shelve it.
Good for them. Well played.
No, and it's part of the thing that I don't know when we lost it, but there are publications that I loathe the existence of.
Yes.
Right. And I am glad that they are allowed to publish, because A, it's how I know we aren't hiding aliens, and it would be hard to try.
Yeah.
And B, how I know everything else before that.
Yeah.
Now, it might be fun sometime to do, like, a deep dive on, like, different sections of time in history where book burnings and that sort of thing occurred, and what.
Well, I'm sure there's some good video.
Exactly. So I think we could find some fun stuff to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be exciting.
I know. I was thinking back on whether or not I think there's video, because I know there's video of the album burnings, and then 30s head film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
34 or 35, I guarantee you I can find films of people burning books.
Yeah. No, you always can.
Right, and what they were burning and why they were wrong.
Yeah.
Well, burning books is a crime against humanity.
It is. It truly, truly is.
So.
Okay, so.
I'm torn, because again, remember that whole great fight about the guy that was going to burn whichever holy text, and that was going to be all the crazy. And my answer was, if someone got a successful, whatever comes after a death threat, I guess murder.
No, and I.
My response to that was going to be, I was
book,
going to get all of the big name holy books and then live stream me burning the shit out of them, because they're just paper. There are other copies. This isn't right. I'm more.
No. If you own the book, I don't have any heartburn with you burning it. When you go snatch it out of a library, you're not going to have words.
We're not friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I missed your friend.
Folks, if you feel the need to burn a book, make sure it's your own.
Yeah, I don't care what you do.
And
it's
if
like
you
the
don't,
idiots destroying their coolers.
If you don't understand how people could be led to do that, then you need to go find a copy of Triomphe des Villains, The Triumph of the Will, by Lily Riefenstahl, and you need to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And you will understand how nationalism becomes this consuming cancer.
It's the same thing everybody's been sold by every group they've ever joined, right? All the good things about you and all the reasons you should be proud of the stuff you can do.
And the thunder of the drums and the crowd and the 100 flags and the... Yes.
No, I'm marching it right again. The old point of one dude marching around looks dumb. 1,000 dudes marching around is scary as shit if you're paying attention.
So it turned out, and I assume they did it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever saw Triumph of the Will was at the University of New Mexico. And all they had was this conference room off the cafeteria. So it's like 30 feet wide and 120 feet long. And, they had a, standard projector and so forth. And the screen filled the front of the room. And there were literally 1,000 people, if the fire marshals had shown up. But anyway, so we're packed into that room, cheek by jowl. Smoking is permitted. So there's a layer of smoke and haze. And you are literally touching the person next to you.
Yeah. No, it's...
And under those circumstances, that movie is electrifying.
One assumes this was put on as like a cautionary tale, since we're talking about a piece of arch-Nazi propaganda.
This was a, weekly or monthly film thing. And they did Triumph of the Will because it's an important film.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
But I
wanted to point out the fact you weren't at a Nazi meeting.
No, but I have a suspicion that whoever chose the room and so forth
knew how it worked.
How it was going to work. Because it was breathtaking.
Oh yeah, no, and you get people packed in that close, you get a lot of interesting physiological responses.
Oh yes. No, I'll bet you money it was intentional. And if it wasn't, oh my God, what an interesting accident.
It probably has a
But
direct
again,
attack.
that's
on ego.
required watching. Go watch The Triumph of the Will.
Do
right?
not
And you
become a
will
Nazi.
understand, yeah, don't become a Nazi because of it, but watch it and understand how
That's
people
how you make people do
did.
evil things.
Yeah.
Again, that in Voltaire's, anyone who can make you believe absurdity can make you commit atrocity.
Yeah. So, and we have lots of that going on. Oh, I had one from last time. I had mentioned that there was a congressman who had called me back.
Oh,
And
right.
so I got curious today, and I wanted to remember who it was. It was Congressman Jim Colby.
Is he a good guy?
He was a good guy.
Okay. Just checking.
So, anyway, they were debating the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is
horrible.
just, bought and paid for. Bought and paid for.
And a bad solution to
It's a stupid solution.
And
So anyway, I had
gonna have an
called
effect
and
on
said,
China's
this is absolute nonsense, and I want Jim Colby to vote against it. And so he called me back, and he said, I got a note from my office that you had called and said you wanted me to vote against the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Why? And I said, because first and foremost, it's an idiotic solution to the problem, right? Tell them to sell the movies for $2. I'll pay $2 for a movie, a good copy.
Right.
Right? And then there won't be any point in stealing it.
Yeah.
And I said, but the worst of it is that you're turning a generation of children into scofflaws.
Yes.
Right?
I haven't heard that point often made.
Well, and what does that term mean for those of us who
That
are
people who know it's illegal to go copy music and videos and so forth,
It's like when you speed.
and just go do it.
Yeah, you don't care.
Because it's too stupid a law.
It's nearly impossible to enforce. It's dumb.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve a purpose. It's how everyone views speed limits.
Yeah.
That's a helpful suggestion for ideal weather conditions. Awesome. Good.
Oh, and it was it was at the time the DVD protections. There was the country code.
Which took
so-
about 2 minutes to defeat on any modern computer.
Literally hanging on the wall in my office, I believe there is it's about a 6x6 table, right?
Mhm.
It's just just
country
black
codes.
and white squares. It is the binary for the U.S. country code.
Oh, cool.
So you can buy your DVD for, 1/4 the price in wherever, shove it in your DVD and tell it what your country code
Yep.
is. And so anyway, that's hanging on my wall.
I like that for Linux. It's a
having
it's a
that
drop-down
number.
setting.
Having that number
Is a crime.
was supposed to be a crime. I don't think anybody cares anymore.
No, but
But I was fascinated by the idea of an illegal piece of paper.
Yes. Well, and that number is going to exist in hardware you're going to sell to humans. You're not going to keep
Yeah.
that secret. It is record breaking if a movie makes it to movie theaters now without being on the internet.
Oh yeah.
And there's
No,
no
I'd
way
be
you're going to change
thunderstruck.
that.
Yeah. No, and it's again, it was the solution is to recognize who your market is. How do you tier it up to make your right? You can keep it dewey secret shit for some period of time and have them have to pay more.
Yep.
You can do it in theaters. That's because they will pay more.
Well, and giving up on that would save them billions of dollars a year they spend attempting to enforce it.
That's
Right.
true.
Doing
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that would for the war if it were law enforcement doing it would be entrapment.
Yeah.
Right, that they host downloadable copies of their thing.
Right. So they can bitch at you.
If you don't know how the internet works, yes.
So anyway, again, just segregate your market and wind up selling, your last copy for $1.
Yeah, the ride or
Right.
die pirates are never going to stop.
Yeah.
But when we've actually looked at this for like software and stuff, we've got good, self-reporting data, or what should be good self-reporting data. And it's entirely about price point, right?
Yeah.
It's that now that everything's gone digital,
Yeah.
so there is no shipping cost. There is no, and I don't quite agree with the kids who say information theft is a different thing because you're not depriving anyone of its use. Like I get where that argument is if I steal your shovel, you can't shovel.
Right.
Right, if I steal your digital copy of it, if I copy your digital copy of a thing, what have I done?
Right.
And no, it's entirely price related.
So anyway, an ongoing issue. And so was I supposed to go after some more?
Sure.
Okay. So speaking of digital technologies,
Bum.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has invested $50,000 in the Digital World Acquisition Corp, which of course is the Truth Social, right?
Of course it is.
Yeah. So anyway, it had a big bump, based on when she bought it. She lost somewhere between half her money and 7% of her money the first day.
Ha! Good for her.
So, it's back up again. She will now be a little bit ahead at close of business today. I think that whole thing, never mind. That's going to be a mess. It's going to be fun to watch.
Okay, yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah. And then, oh hell, what else have we got?
If you get a chance to go there, Internet, you should do it on a new machine that's not related to your stuff, because I've got a feeling that's going to be buggy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be watched by every major, FBI, CIA, everybody's going to be watching that.
Yeah. And it's a honeypot.
All the 9 eyes or 14 or however we're up to now.
But you're also talking about a place that, half the hackers in existence are going to want to hurt the people who go there.
No, they're just going to stroll.
And I'm not talking about, deface the website or whatever. They're going to attack you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I believe it.
So, as asshole said, if you're going to do that, go get a nice clean computer you don't care about.
Yeah, and don't connect it to your Wi-Fi. Now, your Wi-Fi's probably got Russian malware on it, but like 2/3 of them do.
Yeah.
Well, let's meander our way back to high schools, and it's not book banning, but it's a different kind of banning. So apparently, you were explaining to me, BoomerRex, that they were high school was trying to do a play.
Yes.
And that the play had a gay character.
Right.
And the high school said, no, you
canceled
can't
it. You can't do the
So-
play.
Whoa.
And so the cast is really, really annoyed about it.
Get 'em out,
Didn't
kids.
even bother to read the story. I'm just.
Start a fire.
No.
Don't start a fire.
Go to your local park and do the play.
Yeah.
Go
just
everywhere
do it
to the
anyway.
play.
Yeah.
In fact,
Any place that will have you.
look, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your cutest art kids. You know who they are. Figure it out. Send them in to talk
Same
to the
ones you
manager
send out
at
to do
every
a car
grocery
wash.
store. Say you send them in to talk to the manager at grocery stores, at whatever.
Yeah.
Ask if you can perform it in their parking lot.
Yeah.
Get them to fence off a little section for you.
Yeah.
Like,
They'll
get them
take
art
it.
kids.
Or just do it after closing time if you've got a closing time.
Or stage a walkout and do it in front of the school.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I like that
Absolutely.
idea.
In the parking lot.
On the public property.
That's right. And so now you have
Remember,
not
if you're
only.
under 18, it doesn't go on your real record. There's no such thing as a permit. Oh, there is. Never mind.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
listen to me.
No, but I mean, here you are. You've got the ultimate, right? You've got live
The
art.
ultimate FU.
This is,
Not only did you say we couldn't do it, now we're doing
Yes,
it.
yeah.
You said we're supposed to be
Now
doing
we're
something
doing it
else.
twice, bitches.
That's right.
And now everybody's
hell?
gay.
Do it on Saturday and
Oh,
tell
that's
them
what
that.
I'd do. I'd make them all
Or-
gay
Oh my
lesbians.
God.
Whatever that would be.
Throw
on
a
the internet.
transvestite in there, people. Do it.
It's like
do
Rule
it.
64, but I'm not
They'll
like
cry.
gender flipping them.
Just comes
Is there like a
on.
gay flip 'em rule on the internet? I'll have to look at the internet rules.
No,
now.
this sounds amazing, and if you guys do it, seriously, post it on the internet. Click us. If anybody wants, click us a link because I want
Yeah,
to see.
I'm gonna
this.
see
It
it.
sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes. No, we've been forgetting to tell you that. Please like,
Yeah, see,
comment,
I'm good
subscribe.
at things.
We need that to happen.
All right. So, and we'll be right back. All right.
We're back.
So we're back from commercial.
Yeah, the sloth stole
Yeah.
the microphone. We
Yeah,
got it. Though.
eventually when we have commercials, folks, this will happen.
It's aspirational.
But
We don't
that,
actually know how to do this. It's a cargo.
that's
pilot.
our story. We're sticking to it.
Oh.
Shut up. All right. So what else did we have on our list today?
Join us
Oh,
on the Patreon. You
yeah.
can hear the commercials.
no paid family or medical leave. Say thank you to Joe Manchin.
No
Right.
one likes you, Joe.
That's why I have no
Little
friends.
Munchkin. Yeah, just can't see doing it. 'Cause- anyway.
Oh God, no, it's so depressing.
If
you
this
know,
was some handout
right.
to the companies that give him money, he'd be signed up for
Oh
it.
God, yeah.
Sure.
No, if it was the government giving companies money to
The people who need
allow
the money the least.
Yeah.
their people to go on vacation and stuff, he would have been all for it. And they would have used that money for things that it wasn't supposed to be used for.
I would
But we're not going to get into that.
This is what happens. This is when we got tricked into getting rid of earmarks. This is why. Is we used to just buy people off. And yeah, it's not the greatest thing, but yeah, we used to get stuff
Used
done.
to get stuff moved.
Right.
Yep.
Because yeah, your party will be angry at you. Yeah, we just gave you a thing that's gonna be wild.
So at some
worth
point,
in
I
your
think the
state.
Democrats have to throw an elbow,
Mhm.
right? Is just go and say, we're not doing anything. There's nothing going to pass the House, period. Nothing. You're not going to get a budget. You're not going to get, right? It's when we get the Family and Medical Leave Act and the other stuff, fine. And until then, your aerospace companies ain't getting a dime. In fact, we'll write a little law that says we won't reimburse you for what you spent. So, anyway. Oh.
So you were telling me earlier that the Delta variant might be making its way to a natural conclusion.
Exiting stage, whichever.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Exit stage.
nobody has any idea why. Right? So you could offer a whole bunch of possibilities. Mm-hmm. We had a big spike driven by the Delta variant. Okay, so people got scared. Some of them got vaccinated.
Well, and our big spikes are 80% the size, right? I don't think we have a good handle on infected rate.
No, I don't think we do.
Most don't have symptoms.
So, anyway, I think you get a big spike, and some people get vaccinated, and other people put their masks back on, and so forth. But there is another interesting possibility, right? Oh. Is that for any given variant, right? If you took the entire population of the United States, right, and put them in some Super Bowl venue, I guess they won't fit. But if you put them all cheek by jowl, indoors, a certain percentage of people will get the Delta variant. Okay, fine. That's what's happening, or that's a possibility for what's happening, is that
we're just finding
it takes about 60 to 90 days for everybody in your larger bubble who is susceptible to the Delta variant to get it, right? That's how long it takes us to pass it all around.
Interesting.
And so the next variant of interest will come up, and there'll be a new population who can get it, and so on. So we'll see. There are some locales, like ours, that are still getting worse because we're dumb, but that, again, 60 to 90 days it'll roll over, or that's been the course of each major variant worldwide in virtually every country. So anyway, it's goodish news, and it's an interesting effect that all of these, if you go back and look at each state, you'll see that there were these spikes, and they're all kind of the same length. And there was the initial spike way up in February of 2020. There was a big spike in July, August, September of 2020.
Yeah,
right?
December.
And,
the holidays.
Yep.
True.
So anyway, it's just interesting.
It is.
Right? So.
Okay.
Anyway.
So that's current politics and news for you, and that's a cat playing with the box. Good job, the cat. Doing your thing, right? Seriously.
I put it over there so the cat could play with it. Any sort of drum-tummied snum noises you hear are the cat going in and out of its favorite box.
Shoot, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that's probably exactly what that was. That makes sense. Okay, so.
That's true. We had heard a couple of those and weren't thinking about where they came from.
We're back to talking about that movie I was telling you about last night, Killer Legends, okay, by Joshua Zeman and Rachel Mills. So again, this is about urban legends, urban myths, that sort of thing. So tonight we're talking about The Hook. Now, how many of you have heard the Hook story?
I know everybody's heard a Hook story.
Right. So the basis for, well, actually, I'm curious to hear your version of it, considering you come from kind of around the time when this all started, right? So
yeah.
So the stories are perfectly standard. Teenage girl and or couple went somewhere, they stopped, they petted for a while, and then
go necking in the woods.
Yeah, and then they drove home and they found a hook embedded in the back of the car, or
various spot on the car.
Hooked in the door handle, or these were
sometimes
standard.
you get a body count, but That's, I think, the later on. I
I
think
don't
that's,
think I ever heard one with a body
see,
count.
I think this is
It was
the
all narrow
Texas
escape
Chainsaw Massacre did it.
from
Yeah,
the hook.
these were cautionary tales,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Morality
So-
tales.
So the interesting thing that they talk about in this movie is kind of sort of where this whole idea of the hook man, the man with the hook, came
Yeah.
from. So we're gonna get back into our gruesome murders, okay,
All
again
right.
tonight. Now, last night, the murders, there wasn't too much details on them. They were just murdered and buried.
Yeah.
And again, some were never found. But this, I've got details. Very
right.
gruesome details on
Oh,
what happened
good.
to these people. And
So turn the lights down.
yeah, let's
Right.
get into this, folks. All right.
Should we make
Hot
some
cocoa.
wind noises? Okay.
They're bad at this.
Here's your chance to do ASMR.
That's right.
All right.
Come here, microphone.
So, the story goes there were two lovers hooking up on what's called a lover's lane in the woods, okay? And they were kissing, making out.
Fun. He's ruining my fun, folks. Anyway,
I don't
So-
know if that's coming through as any kind of human speech.
Find out.
it's fine. You were doing it. It was fine. Anyway, so these people are making out in a car, and the radio suddenly comes on and warns that there's a killer, a murderer, an escaped mental patient with a hook for a hand.
Human radio.
Hey, don't interrupt my
They
story. You
always
talk
have
after
a
my
hook
story.
for a hand. Go ahead.
Come on.
You think they would have run out of hooks?
Anyway, so he's got a hook for a hand, and the girl's all like, "Oh my gosh, please take me home." And the guy's like, "Oh, fine, we'll go home." So they speed off, right? And when they get home, the guy goes around to open his lady friend's door, and what does he find but a hook that had been torn out of the arm of the murderer
Yes.
on the car door.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So I
where-
heard one of the originals.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
You
Okay.
for reals did. Yep.
Fuck, you're old.
Now, I find it interesting because when I stumbled across this, I knew this story, and so did Asshole. And it's interesting because most of you millennials, especially the older millennials, have read the book Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Stephen Schwartz. Now, he tells his own version of the hook.
Do we have a body count in that one?
I'm not sure. I didn't go back and
Okay.
reread it, but it's similar.
questions.
It's very similar. But and this was written in 1981, and it's in the chapter called Other Dangers. Okay, because each of the stories, the morality tale stories, have their own chapter. Okay, and this was Other Dangers based on modern day
Yeah,
myths
naked.
and legends. So
Making a kid in a Buick.
now we're gonna get into the actual
Other
murders.
dangers.
So.
I have a comment on that when we come back. Go ahead.
We're gonna set the scene. So it's Texas, okay?
So
and
Isn't it always?
it's a town called, get this, Texarkana.
Of course.
Okay, that's the name of the town. It's 1946.
Okay.
All right. There are 4 attacks on 3 couple. There are 4 attacks on couples. Okay, 3 of the attacks were on couples who were at lovers' lanes. Okay, for those of you who don't know what a lovers' lane is when it's a place where people used to go in their car to park and make out and possibly have sex. Teenagers
Face. Fuck off.
would do this back in the day, and that's what they called it. But 5 people ended up being killed in these murders, and they were said to occur on full moons and were dubbed the Moonlight Murders.
All right.
All
It's
right.
also the zodiac pattern.
So there are 2 survivors, okay? And they describe being attacked by a man with a white mask. All right? So he's just got a white mask on, eye holes, mouth hole, an eye hole and a mouth hole is what they said. So 2 holes.
Can
And
the improvised disguise. Yeah.
right. So and what he did to the female of these survivors, he was scared off when he was in the middle of doing this by another car approaching. But this woman was raped with a gun. So he took the gun and did
Got
the
it.
thing, and not okay, right? So this is already like just grotesquely horrible. And one of the women that was murdered, okay, was put on a blanket where he murdered her in front of the car, and then murdered her after he did his deed, and then put her back in the car. Like, just so messed up.
That's where you store.
And then he killed another couple in a farmhouse. Okay, so he went to their house, a middle-aged couple, and murdered them. So a lot of just gruesome murders going on, and everything I read said they were all killed with guns, so they were all shot.
Okay.
So very hands-off on that end of it. So what happens is in November of 1960, before these murders started happening, Dear Abby had done a column about beware of the Hookman. And so everybody read this and was like, oh my God. So then when this happened, the whole concept of being penetrated with some sort of a foreign metal object, right? That turned into this concept of a hook, okay?
Story, yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is that they never released the gruesome, details of these murders to the public. So the public was kind of making up their own story at this point. And eventually a movie came out in 1976, okay? And it was called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And it is known to be one of the very earliest slasher films, American just hardcore slasher films. And one of the grisly parts of this film is it depicts a woman being murdered with a knife tied to the end of her own trombone. So this teenage girl who played trombone, guy kidnaps her, right? Gets her in the woods, ties her to a tree, and then ties his knife onto the end of a trombone and just poof, 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 and murders her that way. So funny story, some of the people who actually lived in the town came to believe that this was actually part of what really truly happened, and it's not. So that was extremely interesting. And they kind of talk a little bit about the concept of, in the movie, Killer Legends, they talk about the concept of giving killers a name, and it kind of makes it less scary, right? So the name of this dude that wore this mask, when the newspaper decided to write the story, there was an ad for a movie called The Phantom Speaks. And they decided, it was being advertised at that time, and they said, we'll call him the Phantom, right? This is perfect. We'll just call him the Phantom because he needs to have a name. Right. So now the Phantom comes out. So now you have the Phantom and you have the Moonlight Murders, and people just make their own thing. So, and another amusing thing is every year in October at Texas Arcana in Spring Lake Park, feet from where one or two of these murders occurred, they show the movie, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. They show that movie in this town, and the people in the town are like, are you sure this is really such a good idea? Some of those families still live here, right? And they're still concerned about this because this killer was never caught. They have this one dude that they think it was, and he was in jail for other things, but they could never pin these murders on him.
Did he ever move away?
No, he's in jail.
Okay.
He's in jail forever. Yes. Okay. But there was another man who was kind of from a well-to-do family sort of thing, and he killed himself and left a note saying that he was the Phantom. And so there's some discussion over whether that's true or not, but they were never able to really figure out who did these just gruesome,
proving a negative,
miserable things. But yeah, no, I just find it fascinating, the whole thing, and it's terrible that these things happen. But what comes out the other end, right? These
after the
stories
public
of
gets
the hook, the man with the hook,
their story. Yeah.
Another thing that I always find interesting. Did you notice they always with our last Cropsey, right? He was turned into an escaped mental patient.
Right.
This guy, when you tell the hook story, he was an escaped mental patient. Of course. Why are we so afraid of the mentally disabled? It's an interesting.
Different.
Oh yeah, no, I understand it, but
you can't reason with them.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But it's just.
But you can't. Like, internet.
No, totally.
A fun fact. The delusional, jump into it with them.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best you got. And, like, a little bit. If this human's a threat
Ride
to
the
you,
horse.
sort it out.
Yeah, but no, so.
You do you. Don't do crimes. Or drugs.
And the other
Don't smoke.
interesting thing,
Yeah.
right?
Floss.
How quickly it changed from gun to knife.
Mm-hmm.
Because as bad as being shot with a gun is going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
It is at some level
idea-
over, and they're not doing it again. I mean, they could, but.
Yeah.
And you're not getting
The
stabbed. There's a
idea
whole
of being
phallic.
slashed with a knife. and
Yeah,
stabbed
yeah.
with a knife scares everybody.
Well, and if you think about it, getting stabbed with a knife, that's much more personal, right?
yeah.
If you're shooting someone with a gun, it's kind of like, you know, you shot me with a gun from a distance, like, whatever. Oh, but when you are penetrating somebody, right, with a knife, with a metal object, like, that's just terrifying.
Yeah, you're inside them. That's weird.
Yeah, no, that's weird under any circumstances, no matter how it ends up happening.
You're probably not a doctor.
Yeah, that's aggressively not okay. People don't kill each other. But so
Don't let her impress you. No, wait.
Yeah, let me impress you in this instance. Don't murder people, and if you feel like you need to murder some
She is
people,
your murder supervisor? Wait.
talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, there's people out there; they'll help you. It's fine.
Not just random detectives who are stuck on your weirdo cases either. That's just messed up.
Well, and the funny thing is this particular myth, this particular legend, is supposed to espouse the dangers of sex and cars for teenagers at that time, because the car scene was starting to become really big then.
I think that's a stretch. That's like when they try and establish things in zombies, like, well, it's about the consumerism you see, and the like. No, shut up.
Right, but then you see the Dear Abby column, like.
Yep, not my dear
So-
Abby. Is she anti-car?
Oh, I don't know, but she's definitely
car
anti-sex.
racist?
I'm sure at that
Oh,
time.
yeah,
Yeah. Or at least abstinence,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like
no,
like wait.
Everybody who's ever had cars has done this in cars.
On cars.
Sex?
Against
Oh,
cars.
okay. We're talking about
Yes.
sex, not murder. Fine.
It was a way to go someplace.
What is it with you? I watched the Squid Games, and I'm telling Risen about it. And Risen thinks I found like a reality show where they're just killing people. And I have no doubt the internet has that. I've seen the Pain Olympics.
You
but-
gotta understand the way he described it to me.
Yeah, I did not do a good job. I did not say, oh, you know that show everyone's watching and talking about? I
He's
just
like,
thought
"Have
I'd
you
watch
heard
that."
about this show, Squid Games?" I was like, "No." I was
And she's
like, "What's
doing
it
things
about?"
like
Yeah, I was busy doing something.
yeah, making a
else.
salad or something. So
He's all
it's
like,
best just to ignore me.
"Oh, they kill each other in this game show." I was like a real game show? He's like, "Yeah, like a real game show."
'Cause it is.
And what happens is they're playing red light, green light, and then they just start shooting people. And I'm like, "What is
Just the ones who lose.
like why? What is the purpose of this?" He's like, "Oh, well, they're gonna get a bunch of money if they win, right? So they've got a bunch of contestants, and the one person that survives gets all the money." And I'm like, that's kind of weird. And this is real life. Oh yeah, it's totally real life.
And it is in the narrative. Like,
So I'm Boomer here. Never seen Squid Games.
you should. It's fun.
What, they
It is
shoot him a
good.
blank? What?
Yeah, no, you'll love it. Check it out.
You
No,
know,
it's fine. It's
No,
fine.
it's actually real because I've
And
since
no one's really
watched it.
dying. It is.
I figured that out.
When he explained to me that no, that's not I'm not actually watching people die, because that's what I asked him. I said,
I've seen enough
I said,
countdown
"You're
videos. I'm
actually
not."
watching people die," and he said, "Oh yeah, and then gruesomely, it's terrible." And I was
Yes,
like,
in the show.
so
You see how perfect his nom de guerre is,
Oh yeah, no.
asshole.
That's true.
So anyway,
nope.
You
And
should check your society, like America. She thought that it might be okay, like that I might have found a way that it was okay enough that we were just putting stuff on the internet. And I know we are,
the
but
gladiators are
without
back.
having to work at it.
So
no, so that's my shtick for the evening. Again, I'm excited. So we'll do tomorrow night. The next set of murders and the next
Chilling tale of
chilling tale of
lies
death
we
and
tell each
destruction.
other.
I'm really hoping that the next one isn't quite as gruesome as this one. This one was a bit much.
No, but I love seeing the evolution of these and the.
yeah,
I mean,
the
they're-
white mask. Oh wait,
Yeah.
the knife. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I just find it fascinating that they show
Oh, yeah.
this movie that was made about these grisly, gruesome murders
Are you doing the
every year
chupacabra?
in the town.
Are you doing the chupacabra?
That's not that's not something that they do, but I would love
The
to.
Chupacabra is based on the movie Species. The first and only human was reported it, had been watching it that day and fell asleep watching it, and the description is exactly the fucking aliens in that movie. She's quite sure it's not, because she's not an idiot, because none of us are idiots. We're all very, very smart cookies. And yes, you are, Internet. You're very smart because you liked and subscribed and commented and shared. And you know what? You didn't even bother sharing. You're such a good friend. You went into your friends' houses and just put us on their computer.
Yeah.
Just let us play while your
Log
friends
into
are
their
asleep.
shit
It's
and,
fine.
and like
We're
us on
strangers.
their
I
things.
mean, don't
like,
let me.
it's fine.
I don't say what you should do.
Yeah, no,
Just
watch.
as soon as they're asleep, double click us on
Yeah,
YouTube.
don't do crimes or drugs or smoke or no, do floss.
Share us on all of your platforms to all of your friends so that you can spread the love and joy and murders.
Share us to people you hate. What are you gonna do when it's not October?
Well, I'm gonna find new things. So now it's October, then it'll be Thanksgiving. So I'll find Thanksgiving things, and then Christmas, pagan, Yule things, and then
Sounds good.
yeah.
I just want to make sure
I've
you
got
weren't.
this all planned out.
I just
No,
want to
we're
make
good.
sure you weren't slow motion turning us into a true crime podcast.
Yeah.
As exciting as that would be, no, I kind of figure this is just interesting to me because it talks about urban
feel like
legends
my
and
mom
urban
didn't
How they
myths.
got started and spread.
Exactly, and what their
purpose.
purpose was, right?
My mom was the one that taught me luminol. Can't
How
tell the
they
difference between engine oil and blood.
Luminol.
Yeah,
Can't-
can't tell the difference between blood and engine oil.
Well, folks don't use that for anything
Yeah.
gruesome.
Hey, Internet, don't use things I tell. I'm stupid. Don't take
You would
advantage of me.
typically think you wouldn't find them together, so that it would be useful, except in a few places.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's totally it. I am not telling you how my brain came up with. No, I just take apart the engine in the living room and brain,
There's
shut
gonna be
up.
a whole
Yeah.
rash of people
No, but,
murdering people in their garages. Like this
Yeah.
is terrible.
With
No,
trombones and knives.
Yeah, with trombones. No, it's
Terrible.
terrible. I
Who's
used to
got time for that?
I
On
used
the
to play
carpet
the
on the
trombone.
driver's side of any vehicle, any
Yeah.
older vehicle. Yeah.
Oh, what were you going to say about Buicks?
Well, yeah.
Was that just everybody's done it in cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said ever since anybody had a vehicle.
Access to anywhere.
I was
Sheds.
interested in the change in one of the
Rooftops.
words, right? Because, make out, we said make out, but we also said petting,
You don't use petting.
which is, it is. That's exactly
Oh, yeah,
what
no.
it is.
Well,
Yeah, no, yeah.
And it's,
Petting
it's an
is-
appropriately gentle and mutual, right.
I was having sex at 15. I'm the wrong human to ask. Like, I blew through getting to third in like 13.
Be that way.
New England's weird and hopped up on a lot of things.
And it's cold and you
And there's not a lot to
snuggle
do.
and watch
And you're
TV.
kind of, yeah, it's that or do drugs. And I didn't do drugs at that point.
No, and again, if you have not watched Killer Legends by
yeah.
Joshua
Sounds great.
Zeman and Rachel Mills, please do, because they actually go visit the scenes of these murders and they talk to the people that are still like around that knew it and knew about it. They go through old newspaper clippings and stuff in the local library. So it's super interesting.
This is
Please.
just plain everyday ghoulish.
Oh,
Hey,
it's
tune in
fun.
tomorrow and
Oh,
I'll
it's
tell you
so
about the fields full of skulls we used to walk through when I was a kid.
Not that it's fun that people are murdered, okay, but it's interesting to see what comes out of that, right? Like if I was murdered in some gruesome way, like it would make me happy if I was turned into some sort of a mythical legend of the, scary person who did bad things, like I don't know, whatever monster of the day is, so to speak. But
Okay.
They had a big fire at a circus.
Oh, okay.
So tune in tomorrow night to hear about the fields of skulls.
okay.
I'm sorry, we don't have to be done. Does
And
anyone
don't
have anything
forget
else?
We're good.
It sounds
Like
to me
us,
like we're-
comment
Yeah,
to
we're good.
us,
Yeah, subscribe.
email us, subscribe.
Share us
That's
to your
right.
friends, enemies.
I don't think we have an email set up yet.
Yeah,
But comment.
we'll put
If
it
you
in the-
comment, we'll reply
We'll
to your
figure it out.
comments.
We'll pretend that we'll go back and put it in the earlier ones, but it's your job to keep listening to us here,
Yeah.
wherever you found us, and look for us on other places.
Until we decide to give you more information.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Catch y'all later.
Good night, interwebs.
Bye.
I don't even have anything crazy to say.